Hey everyone, welcome out to the Dice Tower. My name's Chris Yee.
I'm Mike DiLisio.
And I'm Roy Cannaday.
Today we're taking a look at a small little box here called Trio. This is a game that we actually all originally played in its harder to find printing called Nana.
Yep.
And then we heard that it was getting a wider release printing, which I was very excited about.
Sure.
Oh, for sure. They changed the art, they changed the name, they changed the theme. It's
the theme?
They didn't change the game. It's still the same.
Not at all. As Mike alludes to, what theme? If you're not sure why we're saying what theme, I'll show you how it plays, and then we'll give you our thoughts.
Here's a game of Trio set up on the table. This is a memory game. Now, I have it set up for 4 players, but depending on 3 through 6 player count, you'll have a different number of cards in each player's hand and a different number of cards face down on the table. There are 3 of each card, numbers 1 through 12. So you can see I have 1, 1, 2 3s. I have 2 of the 12, so if I can find the third 12, I want to try to play out a trio. I want to find all 3 of the same number on my turn. What I'm allowed to do on my turn is either ask someone else or myself what is the lowest card or the highest card in their hand, and then they would reveal it. So I might say to this player over here, what is the lowest card in your hand? They flip over a 1 in view of everybody. Everyone can see this 1. Well, I know that I have a 1 myself, so if I can find the third 1, then I will be able to ask myself third and say, Chris, what's your lowest card in hand? The 1. So I'm looking around thinking, where could that 1 be? So I might ask this player, what's the lowest card in your hand? They reveal a 2. If I continue to find the same number, I'll just keep asking players, but once I find ones that do not match, my turn will end, and then the next player will go, and they might say, what's your lowest card in hand? They reveal a 1. You can ask the same player again, say, what's your lowest card in hand? A 1, and then this person says, Chris, what's the lowest card in your hand? I reveal 3, the third of a kind. This player grabs that set here. The point of the game is to grab a certain number of sets. Depending on the version of the game that you're playing, per the rules here, the easier mode is that anyone who wins 3 trios or 3 sets of cards is the winner, or if you find all 3 of the 7s, which you'll notice are very kind of middle numbered cards. Or you can play the spicy mode, the extra, where you have to win 2 sets of cards whose sum or difference equal to 7. So you can see here how this player has a set of 1s. If they also find the set of 6s, because 1s and 6s will add up to 7, they'll win. Or if they find the 8s, 8s minus 1s will equal 7s. Since this player found a trio, their turn is done. This player comes over here. The other thing you can do on your turn is you can choose to flip over any card here on the middle of the table. They reveal a 12, and then they can now ask, hey Chris, what's the highest card in your hand? Darn it, a 12. And then they say, Chris, what's the highest card in your hand? And I reveal a 12. Darn! Well, they won a trio, and their turn is done. And so you continue doing this. You can reveal cards on your turn, and if you ask what's the highest card in your hand, and there's a mismatch, these cards go back face down, cards go back into players' hands, and you continue going around until someone finds a winning condition. So I might flip over this card. I might flip over this card, and then ask myself, hey Chris, what's the highest card in your hand? The 7, and I could win it automatically for having the trio of 7s, or depending on what the other endgame conditions are, based on the mode that you're playing, and that's how you play Trio.
So I kind of introduced this game as basically a slightly more gamers version of Go Fish. I mean, there's not a lot to this game, but despite its simplicity, I just have fun when I play it.
The good thing about it is like it's extremely quick and extremely simple. This is one of those games you can really take almost anywhere, you know, like you can take it at a dinner, you can like have it in your backpack, have it wherever you want, and it's just a game you can just throw out wherever. And the fact that it's like very simple, it has like those mechanics that everybody knows. Everybody knows like memory style mechanics, you know, and it's super simple, but it adds those interesting aspects to the game of trying to deduce where everybody is, and you kind of like, players have information, you're trying to like gain that from them.
Yeah, yeah. And a fundamental, you mentioned memory. I've mentioned many times my absolute disgust for memory as a game mechanism. I don't have a great memory.
Right.
I end up finding memory games to be A, frustrating, frustrating, and it makes me annoyed at myself, right? So you don't necessarily want that experience when you're playing a game. When I heard this game described, I'm like, yeah, I'll probably hate that. That sounds terrible. But I sat down and played it, and I was shocked at how much I enjoyed it. It was, even though I got tripped up by memory multiple times, for some reason in this context of this game, it just didn't bother me. I just found it oftentimes more funny than anything else.
Because you can only ask for the highest or the lowest.
Right.
When you see someone's highest card as a 10, you're like, I'll remember that for later.
And then you'll forget.
And then you forget.
Yeah.
I agree. This game has an atmosphere. It has a certain energy when you're at the table that feels like a party game, basically. It's okay that I don't remember that I need a 10.
Right.
I'm not taking the game that seriously.
Right.
But I am still trying to win.
Right.
So I don't know. It has that perfect little alchemy of, yeah, you want to try and do well.
Right.
And when someone else takes an 11 from your hand because they made the trio, you're like, darn it.
It is funny though, like a little bit of like, they got it. You know, that feeling is very interesting. Or when you're actually able to pull that off yourself.
Right.
Like, especially when it comes to the 7, because if you get all 3 of the 7s and you just win the game outright, so it can be somebody that wins.
It is, yeah.
They win other things and you're like a little bit behind, but it's like, you know, you're holding on to a 7 and you know they've revealed 7 in the middle. It's like, if you could find the person that has that other 7, it's like, is it their highest? Is it their lowest? What is it? And if you're able to pull that out, you're like, got it. And you're like, I play my, what's your highest? 7. I play my 7. All right. I know it's one of the ones in the middle. I know it's there. But now you've like revealed your hand almost. And you're like, I'm going to go for this one, you know? And like when you're able to pull that off, it just makes for those exciting moments, which is kind of shocking for how small of a game this is.
It is. And complexity-wise, I would put this at around the level of Uno, right? This game is so simple.
I think it has fewer rules than Uno.
Yeah. So this is one I would feel comfortable playing with anybody just about. I mean, obviously, you know, maybe a 3-year-old is out of the mix, but you know what I'm getting at. Kids, adults, older folks. Honestly, kids might have they may be better at this game than someone like me, right? Because they're maybe going to have a better memory than I do. So I just feel like it is such an approachable game, so quick, like you mentioned, that you can bust this out before dinner. You can, there's just so many environments where it can come out, and it definitely does feel like a party game.
Right. You pointed this out, Mike, which I appreciate that. So this originally had a different printing called Nana, and it was a Japanese small release game. So Trio being picked up for a wider release now. There's a few things I'm really glad about. One is I like this art a lot. I have an affinity, because we've actually all played
Nana,
the original printing of it, and I was very charmed by it and everything.
It is charming.
And I was a little bit bummed that they changed the art. But actually, this is really good.
I learned about this version of the game before playing the Nana version of the game. And then I was like, when I saw this, I originally was like, oh man, that's really cool art. I played Nana. I didn't even realize these were the same game at first. And then when you told me, oh, Trio, that's the same game as Nana, I'm like, I love that game. That's awesome that the game that I liked the art on actually was the game that I'd already played and really enjoyed. So it kind of like mixed together for me. So it was really kind of a cool combining of those things.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other thing is that they scaled the game a little bit higher, which I think is perfect because this has a little bit of that party game feel, that raucous, energetic environment.
It does, yeah, it absolutely does. It's a game that creates a particular atmosphere around the table that is just one of fun, right? So it's a competitive game. You're trying to win. You're trying to win to the expense of other people winning, but it doesn't have that kind of competition that, I don't know, it's just, you can't, it's not a spiteful type of a thing, you know what I mean? It's just not. It's like, oh, yeah, Roy, you showed me you've got that 7, that, that you may help me win, but it's not like I'm doing anything to purposely harm other people, you know what I mean? It's just, it creates this fun, very quick atmosphere where it's like, oh man, all right, you got it, nice game, let's go again.
There's a little bit of glee too in like somebody misremembering that. It's like they think that this player has the card, but it was really that player that they looked at before, or the other player looked at it and they're like, oh yeah, it was Roy that had that, and you're like, No, it wasn't.
It's one of those games. It's one of those games where when something like that happens, everybody laughs at the table, including the person that screwed up.
They're like,
right?
they're like,
That's
it was
the thing, right? Yeah.
But
it's
now
like,
they've given up other information. You just have to be careful and pay attention to those cues. You know?
exactly. It's just fun and funny, and it creates this atmosphere of fun. You know what I mean?
I agree. Moving into nice flip. Final thought. Rodney Smith, whoa, up in the house. Moving to final thoughts. This is a hard game to put a number to.
It really is.
Because we've said nothing negative about it.
Right.
Because, to be fair, there's almost nothing to this game.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
That is both a feature and for some people a detraction.
Yes.
Some people will play this and say, I don't get it.
What's the point?
What's the point, right? It is that frivolous in a way, but if you are looking for fun first, this is a card game I really recommend. Score-wise, I'm giving it a 7.5. I think it's a lot of fun. It might be surprising that I'm not going higher. I think there are other games that are more robust and full while still being small and approachable. For Sale is, for example, one of my go-to gold standard games. But I could see this becoming kind of one of those for sale or no thanks or you know, just those go-to games for people because it just keeps working every time I play it. So yeah, to 7.5, I'm highly recommending. I'll go as far as to say, I think everyone should own this game.
Oh, wow.
It's that approachable, that playable, and tends to almost always impress everyone, despite the fact that it's not much of a game, but it's enough of a game and it's fun. It's super fun. It's a 7.5 for me.
I'm also going to hit it with a 7.5. I really enjoyed it. I've been on record like saying that I don't really enjoy games that are just numbers on cards. That doesn't really do a whole lot for me.
You said that like an hour ago.
I know. I mean, I enjoy thematic games and stuff like that, but this kind of is in the same vein as kind of like a love letter style game. It's very different mechanically than that, but it gives that same sort of niche of like you can take it with you anywhere. You can throw it on a table. You can play it at like dinner while you're waiting for your bill or dinner while you're waiting for your food to come out. Where sitting at an airport, you can throw it on stuff. You can play it in a plane with people, you know? It's just super small, super compact, and super like accessible. Throw it in your dashboard of your car and just keep it with you to play if somebody's like, oh, we're bored for a second. Hey, have you tried Trio? You know? It's that kind of game. I feel like if you have a quiver or something like that, this would be like a staple for that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, 7.5 for me. I really enjoyed it.
All right, well, I kind of wish I could play the third 7 here and just win the whole thing, but I got to go a little bit higher, and I'm going to go with an 8. All right, I'm going to give this one an 8. There's a couple of reasons why.
We need to keep the 7s.
Yeah, that's right. You got to keep the 7s. I got. We mentioned many of the reasons why it is a fun experience. It's an approachable experience. It's a lovely little package, also inexpensive. So many things to go for with this. I think this is one of those types of games you could have at the checkout line at Walmart or Target or something. It's that type of game that is that approachable. I also am very glad that it is being offered to a wider audience because I think it is such a potential wide appeal. There will be people that bounce off of this hard, right? Want nothing to do with it. This is a waste of my time. There's no reason for this. But then there are plenty of people that are going to absolutely adore it. And so I think it has a wide appeal. It's a nice looking game. It's hard to rate it, like I said, because it's such a trifle.
Yeah.
But it is so fun. And if you do enjoy it, you're going to want to just keep playing it.
It's hard to play this game one time.
It really is, yeah. This is the Pringles of card games.
There you go.
And yeah, we've taken it to events and seen it played there.
Yep.
Sometimes people are like, that was fine, whatever, and they leave the table. And there's usually someone kind of watching, and it's like, hey, can I slip in their seat? And so it's a game that you can just keep playing over and over again. It's that small, frivolous, but excellent. It's a great. So yeah, there you go. So getting a seal of approval from all three of us here at the Dice Tower. So thanks for coming by this review of Trio. My name's Chris Yee.
I'm Mike DiLisio.
And I'm Roy Cannaday.
Keep on 3-bin on.
Give me them 7s.